Welcome, everybody. As you're coming in, start thinking of your positive focus. We'll get started here in just a minute.
Morning, Stacy.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon.
Anne, can you make me host? Thank you.
Now you just have to make me co-host again.
Oh, yeah. That's why it does. All right, let me get this shared and we will get started. So be thinking of your positive focus. Would love to start with some great things in your business or even something you turned around, maybe your mindset even. So get ready to share. You can raise your hand or I'll have you unmute yourself, but would love to get like 5 to 10 positive focus. So we'll get started here in just a second. I'm going to go live in our group. Oops. Won't let me go live. Anne, have you ever gone live in Facebook? They must have changed the setting and it won't allow me to go live. Okay. Hold on one second, guys. Actually, let's get started with positive focus. Who wants to unmute and share your positive focus? And I will work on getting us live here in the Facebook group. Kathy, why don't you share? You always have a good one. Get us started off if you would.
I was thinking you're going to call on me. Well, I discovered when we were at a convention this product called Prop Stream, and it allows you to find off market properties, well, all properties all over the countryside, and so you can go in and find a way to, like for me, I'm a waterfront specialist, right? So I said, let me see if I can go in and find out all the properties on the water in my area, and I do it town by town, that were owned for over 30 years and had 50% equity in them. So I paid a VA to go dig into this and do it because because I was at this convention, I got 30 days. The first 30 days was a free look. But you can get 7 days free look anyway, and you can still download these properties, which is great. So I took a look at them, and there were so many properties, and my goal was, if you've owned this property for over 30 years and you have a ton of equity, because that's what I was picking out was all the equity, you have a very strong chance of selling, if not today, in the near future. So I could create a pipeline of people, of potential sellers. And so I've got hundreds of them now that actually are around our area that have owned their property that long and have lots of equity. So the script will be, hey, are you looking to sell your home? I'm Kathy Burns. I'm a realtor in the area, specialize in the waterfronts. I wondered if you wanted to list your home, or if you were thinking about selling it soon. And if they said no, I'd say, hey, how about a property analysis? You want that, don't you? Something like that. And then I would need their email. So now I've got their name, their phone number. Oh, and how I get the phone number? I use Forewarn, forewarn.com. Now, a lot of agents have that free in their MLS. We do not here in Charlotte, those rascals. I'm really hoping that changes, but it's only $20 a month. So you can go put that that person's name in. You already know the city where they're at. You get the phone number, and it's a cell phone number, and it's current. And it's awesome because it's a background checker. That's what Forewarn is. So, which is really good for women out there showing houses. You want to know who the people are that you're meeting. That's a good way to have Forewarn anyway. And that was what it was designed for. But I learned that you can get phone numbers from that rascal. So that's my share.
That is a great one. I love it. Very good. Great
Just did a
share.
YouTube on it.
That's awesome.
Could you give me the email address to that VA website that you're talking about?
Are you talking to us, Joni?
Yeah, I'm Joni. I was asking her. She said she found it on a website named VA.
No. So that is propstream.com. I'll put the link in here because I've got an affiliate link with it. I'll put that in for that. I did hire a VA that's onlinejobs.ph where you can hire VAs in there. So I just didn't want to spend my time on that. So, but I'll put that link for the affiliate link on there for the PropStream. It's a jewel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Katie, do you want to share yours? Can you unmute?
Me?
Katie Wilson.
Oh, well, I just put it in the chat. I thought this was a neat quote that I heard.
Yeah.
And this gentleman was promoting his book called Lies Boys Believe, and it sounds like a really good one if you have young boys that you're raising. So he said, and this was not his quote, he was quoting someone else and he didn't remember who it was, but I liked it. It says, a strong man brings about good times, and good times bring about weak men. Weak men bring about hard times, and hard times bring about strong men. So it's kind of a cycle. Then when you really think about it, of course, it applies to women as well. We're in some hard times, so we're getting stronger, right?
Love it. That's great. I love it. I don't know if it's by the same author, but there is a book called Lies Girls Believe, but it's kind of for like middle school girls. That one is. So I don't know if it's the same.
They're in the same family. It's through Revive Our Hearts. Nancy Lee DeMoss, I think, wrote the other ones, but this was for boys specifically.
Yeah, very cool. Love it. All right, who else wants to share your positive focus? I know we've got some good ones. And then today we're going to go over the market report. So I'm glad to see all of you here because the monthly market report is always a good one. And so glad to see the amount of people. Chris, go ahead.
Hey guys, client events, if you're not doing them or you haven't done them in a while, absolutely just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't think it's got to be a complex plan. We just did our fall event, had about 90 folks. We rent out like 10 lanes at the bowling alley. It's not crazy expensive. You can order in pizzas. Like every single event, like this one on Sunday, we walked away with 6 referrals. So, and that's not really even asking, that's just chatting with your people for 3 hours. And they're like, hey, my mom you got to call my mom. Like she needs to sell and buy, this just comes up. So I think, the events, I hear a lot of folks kind of overthinking it and like, wow, I don't have $3,000 to put on a crazy good event. Like we put on amazing events for $300, and you get referrals every single time. So now's the time to just pour back into your database and sphere, I would say.
Love it. Great share. Yes. Megan asked, do you ask for referrals directly?
We have a sign-in sheet that's just a little half piece of paper that's like, hey, name, birthday, anniversary for you and the whole family. Do you want an updated market valuation on your home? Yes or no? Do you want us to send you any property alerts for any type of property? And then, hey, your referrals mean the world to us. Do you know anybody in the next 12 months who's thinking about something? And that's their entry for prize drawings. And it's like, hey, if you give a referral, you get 2 extra prize entries. So it's kind of fun. And like by this point, you know, people, they know that we're going to ask for that information and they're cool with it. So it works.
Awesome. Really good share.
I had something
Let's
to share,
get-
Stacy,
Oh.
real quick. I'm
Hey,
Aaron
go
today. For some
ahead.
reason, my wife logged into the Zoom and I'm showing up as her name today, but I'm Nathan. We have some newer agents that joined our team, and it's funny how you look at perspective, right? They've never experienced an up market, a down market, nothing, and they're coming in and writing contracts because their perceived mindset of what real estate should be like. It's new, it's exciting for them, and they're not kind of comparing it to where markets were. And so I think sometimes we get trapped in our own head about how things were. And we started talking at our ops team yesterday. I think especially in Florida, what COVID did is it taught us to be lazy in our approach of prospecting. We got so used to them coming at us that we forgot how to prospect and all the things. And I told my sister, I said, you know, in any market, we were always addicted to prospecting. And these past 2 years, they were coming at us so fast, we were order taking. And these newer agents that are coming in that are addicted to prospecting, they're actually putting deals together right now in this market and are not seeing any type of struggle in doing so because their mindset's in a different spot. So I think sometimes we can be our own worst enemy on when things slow down, where our mind is like, we're all waiting for the rates to drop or miraculously the leads just start pouring back through. And it just comes back to getting to the basics and actually re-engaging conversation. So I started doing that yesterday and talked to a guy I haven't talked to in 2 years. And he says, man, I'm glad to see you're still alive. And I said, I just want to apologize. I completely got too busy running a company and forgot about doing some of the prospecting for the people that mean the most to me, which is the customers, and it re-engaged, and he wants to buy a waterfront home. So it's just like, it just goes to show when you start calling people with the right mindset, right attitude, right drive to do so, that you start getting really good feedback, and there's still a lot of buyers in our marketplace.
Yeah, really good point. It's so easy to get complacent, right? When things are good and you don't have to do a lot, but then this is a different market. And so, yeah, just keeping your mindset right and doing the activities you know you need to do. Really good share, Nathan or Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, how about one more? Anybody got one? You'll be our last one. Haley, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi guys, how are you? So I went to the regional rally on Friday in Boston, and Glenn came and I met him for the first time. We actually did a little interview. I was really debating if I should go to this event, leading towards to it. I was like, I have a lot of things to do. I don't want to go. So I literally decided to go on the morning of, but I'm really glad I went because I felt like I was losing focus a little bit, you know, as all holidays are approaching. At the end of the year, you're just kind of like, oh, it's time to party now. So I found going to that event really helpful because you're surrounded by like-minded people. Everyone was sharing their goals and their tips and stuff. And they recognize the agents who have capped and, you know, like icon agents and everything. So you just get inspired by the energy in the room, and it's just really good to see people in person and be inspired again and regain my focus. So like I felt like that was really something that I was proud of doing, forcing myself to go. And I just submitted another offer like an hour ago, so at any given time I'd be hearing from the listing agent. So yeah, like wish me good luck, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
really good. Yes. And that's really a great part too about this meeting. So if you don't have events that you can attend in person right now to kind of, get you back feeling like you're part of a community, that's what we've got here too. And so seeing all your faces and sharing with each other and getting to know each other is a big part of it. So really great share. Haley, I'm glad you had a good
Thank
time
you.
at the event. All right, let's get going. One thing I thought I would do that may be helpful since we get a lot of questions. So every month we go through the Keeping Current Matters monthly market report. And every month we kind of get questions like, what is it? So I thought I'll do like a quick 2-minute tour of KCM so you can see it. And then we'll get into the monthly market report. So I'll share my screen quick. So for those of you that do not have it, so when you log into Keeping Current Matters, you have the option, depending on the membership that you have, you can have this local market at a glance. We have the medium membership, the middle one, which it looks like is $59 a month. It looks like the individual or the one under it is $39, and then the one above it, I think, is $89. So the middle membership, whatever it's called, you have the opportunity to have your local market at a glance. So you can see that here. There's something called personalized content where you could share blog posts, videos, social graphics, buyer and seller guides that they put together. You can download these infographics. So they have that as well. And you get to put your own information on it. So like back up to let me go back to the social graphics. You can customize different things with your information on it. They've got an email builder for buyers, sellers, latest content, all built templates. They've got Real Talk, which is making custom real estate videos with scripts in it. Again, that's in the upper level membership. So you can see here, it tells me I would need to upgrade to do that. And then you can browse by topic. So buyers, sellers, interest rates, pricing, for sale by owners, and then a whole bunch of other information. The market updates that we do, that's in here as well. And then you can browse the archive. So you can go through and see everything in 23 and 22. They also do what's called a deep dive in their Facebook group. And that's every Monday morning. And so November 13th, they had it, the last one, right? And then here's the recording. And then they have the visuals that you can download and share. And then here, of course, is that KCM local information. And then they have a training center. So they have different things that you can get trained on as well. So that is what KCM is. It's called Keeping Current Matters, KCM for short. They do have a success plan that you can go through. And so they take you through some videos as well. So I thought I'd cover that really fast because we get a lot of questions about that. What is KCM? Where are you getting this information? Can I get the slides? All those things. So today's monthly market report is about 36 minutes, and Steve Harney, who is the owner of Keeping Current Matters, is going to go through it with us again. So we will get started. Sorry. All right.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Harney. I'm the founder of Keeping Current Matters, here with the November edition of the monthly market report. Before I get started, I just want to address some of the crazy headlines that I've seen over this past weekend. I'm recording this on Monday, November 6th, right after the results of the litigation team. And again, I saw some crazy headlines. They don't even know if the industry is going to survive. Let me step back for a second, take a minute and just talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to give an opinion on the actual litigation. For the last 20 years, I sold my real estate company back in 2005. So for the last 18 years,
I've really concentrated on helping agents understand how the economy impacts the housing market. So I've been out of the brokerage business for 18 years, and because of that, I don't really follow it that well. Since I've done no research nor any study on the litigation, I don't really feel that I have an informed opinion on it. But what I do have a very strong opinion about is the industry as a whole. There are two things that make an industry viable, that enable an industry to exist and to prosper. The first thing is they have to have a product or service that fills a need of the consumer. The second thing they need is a customer base that's willing to pay a fair value for that product or service. If an industry has those two things, they're fine. So let's take a look at real estate. We definitely have a service that fills a need because over 90% of the people that buy or sell a house use our services. And for over 100 years, they've been willing to pay fair market value for that service. So do I think that the industry itself is in jeopardy? Absolutely not. Do I think we'll have to evolve? Sure. We've been evolving for the 35 years I've been in the business. So I don't want you to spend too much time thinking about that. Let your broker, your leader, your local board, let them come up with the decisions as to what's the next step. Your job is to help families, help individuals, whether they're looking to buy or sell a house. Let them take care of their job and listen to them when they give you direction. And let's go do our job. Our job is to go out, find families that need our help, and help them. Will the industry evolve? Of course it will. Will the industry disappear? Of course it will. Now to the MMR, the monthly market report. As we always start, most agents know what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening. Great agents can explain what's happening. And that's exactly what KCM is all about, explaining what's happening. And that's not an easy task in today's environment. As a matter of fact, Thompson, the CEO of Amherst, I think he put it really well. I'd say whatever our forecast is, talking about his forecast going forward, it has a wider range of error than it normally would have. Right. We're just at a point in the housing market to where I don't think anyone really knows, to tell you the truth. But we can't ignore the inventory remains down over 40% since pre-pandemic. What is he saying? Two things. Number one, no one really knows for sure what's going to happen next. We can make some good guesses, but we have to realize they're guesses. Number two is the only thing we know for sure, there's not enough inventory out there. If there's not enough inventory out there, that guarantees two things. Number one, prices won't crash, because it's a supply and demand issue with any price on any item. And number two, we have to find more listings. Both of those things are true. Now, going back to home prices, let's take a look at what's happening with home prices. The Case-Shiller report just came out last week. And what we can see on the seasonally adjusted numbers, and it's important that we understand the seasonally adjusted numbers compared to what should be, they were up 0.9%. Usually it's the time of year where they actually start, the level of appreciation starts decelerating. I'm not saying red bars. What I'm saying is those green bars will get smaller. That didn't happen with the Case-Shiller report, and we're kind of interested because some people are talking about a reacceleration of home prices. I don't wish that. I don't think that, but there are people talking about it. The FHFA price index came out also, and they're showing something more what I thought would happen. Prices as we come later into the year are starting to moderate. The level of appreciation is starting to moderate, and that's a good thing. If we look at the three indexes that we like to depend on the most, Case-Shiller, FHFA, and CoreLogic, they're all kind of showing the same thing. Now, I will tell you that the CoreLogic is not seasonally adjusted. That's why the numbers will be a little different than the other two indexes. But what we can see overall, at the beginning of last year, we had very strong appreciation. At the end of last year, there was a correction to that too strong appreciation. And now we're going back to normal appreciation levels. And is it widespread? That's a question that everyone always asks. I'm not saying this is happening in Austin. I'm not saying this is happening in Boise. I know some people are looking at New Orleans now and saying, well, there seems to be some trepidation there on prices. But overall, what we're seeing is very strong price appreciation for this time of year, especially. As a matter of fact, if we look at the Case-Shiller home price index, 9 of the 20 metros that they cover, 9 of them had 1% appreciation or more just last month. And the most interesting thing is places like Vegas and Los Angeles and San Diego and Seattle that really took a hit last winter are coming back strong. So I think that what we can say from this is, you know what? It looks like prices are not going to crash. And if anything, they're going to stay right on normal appreciation. And that's exactly what we want, a normal market. We've had, between the pandemic, between what happened last year, we've had a lot of craziness in the market. Going back to normal will help all of us, including the consumer. The FHFA month-over-month price change, in 8 of the 9 regions they cover, there was positive. The only region that wasn't positive was in the South Atlantic. Now, I will tell you, price will be determined by supply and demand. And what's happening in the South Atlantic? Builders are building like crazy. So because builders are building like crazy, there's more opportunity there. And that means that there's more inventory. If we have more supply and demand remains the same, prices will moderate to some degree. Not a big degree. And last month, the South Atlantic was actually up. So we'll keep on following that. But basically, both price indexes are saying the same thing. Things are good. And Black Knight in their mortgage monitor looked at prices. And for the second month in a row, home price growth trended higher in every one of the 50 largest US metros, mirroring the sharp re-acceleration at the national level. They're actually seeing prices picking up right now. And to that point, Selma Hepp, who was the chief economist at CoreLogic, nevertheless, home prices are still expected to re-accelerate and reach mid-single-digit growth rate by the end of the year, according to their home price index forecast. So what are we looking for as far as prices are concerned? They're strong. My fear is not that they're going to be weak. My fear is going to be that they might be a little bit too strong, especially if they re-accelerate. With the affordability issue being what it is today, all right, I'm not looking for tremendous price growth. I'm looking for steady price growth, normal price growth. Talking about normal price growth, let's take a look at what's going to take place going forward. All right, the 49-year average. This is non-seasonally adjusted, so these numbers will differ a little bit from the seasonally adjusted index that I showed you a couple of slides back. This is over the last 49 years, what happens every month to home prices. That's the average, the 49-year average. And so what we can see is early in the year, as I said before, prices or appreciation starts to accelerate going into the buying season. And then once the buying season is over, they start to decelerate. And by the end of the year, where there's a lot less demand, prices start to decelerate to the point that it's coming real close to that zero line. And that's the last 49 years. Where do we stand right now compared to that? Well, if we take a look at prices month over month, non-seasonally adjusted, what we can see is, all right, here we have the 49-year average, which are the black bars, and what actually happened in 2023, which are the green bars. We started out the year slow. We didn't match normal appreciation for those first 2 months. Then we got a little too strong. But now what we're seeing is we're going back to more normal appreciation. July and August. And remember, when you're dealing with a repeat sales index, there's a delay because they have to do all the work to really compare like houses. It's the best index. Sure, it's a little bit slow in coming to the market, but you have a choice. You could look at median prices, which are not a good indicator of price movement right now, but you get it right away. So you could either be quick and wrong, or you could take a little time to be right. I decided to take a little time to be right at KCM because I think being right is much more important than being quick. All right. So what we can see again is we're going back to normal levels of appreciation. And again, I think that's a good thing because that will impact affordability. Because affordability, as we know right now, is in a crisis mode. There are a whole bunch of young people, a whole bunch of old people, there are a whole bunch of families that have the dream of the American dream of home ownership, but they can't attain it right now. If we look at monthly mortgage payments, look how much they've increased since January 2021, even how much they've increased since January 2022, even how much they've increased since January of this year. And we can see that there's a major challenge there. Interest rates are nowhere near where they were the last several years. We can take a look at the bottom coming from 2018 through 2020, actually 2016, but the way it's broken down is it lines up right with the end of that particular year. But we can see that was all under 5%. From 2016 all the way to 2022, mortgage rates stayed under 5%. Then in 2022, they shot up. And now they're going even higher than that. Now, we did get a reprieve. There was a reprieve this past weekend. Again, I'm recording this on Monday, November 6th, where mortgage rates actually dropped significantly from a month before. There wasn't a lot of press on it. There weren't a lot of people maybe a little nervous about making that decision. But the important thing that we realize is they were heading in the right direction. All right. We actually came down about a half a point from the highs of over 8%. They finished this past Friday at 7.38%. As a matter of fact, we gave you a graph showing just that. We compared 2016 through 2022, and those are the orange bars down below and the blue bar up above. So we're well above anything a lot of millennials and Gen Xers have been seeing over the last couple of years. And if we take a look at it by decade, we can also see that we go all the way back to the 2000s and mortgage rates weren't this high. So what we have is a situation that the mortgage rate is really impacting affordability in a very, very, very big way. Now, the interesting thing is, well, people say, well, no one's going to buy a house. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, what you sell is a major piece of the American dream. People are not going to lose interest in that. As a matter of fact, with all this flux, let's take a look at people, how many people were planning to buy a home in the next 12 months, the percentage. And this is a survey from the Housing Trends Report at the National Association of Home Builders. And what we could see is things were going down to 18 into 19. And then, obviously in the first quarter of 2020, we had the pandemic. Then all of a sudden things shot out. They settled back out from that big jump up because of the pandemic buying. And then they bounced around. But ladies and gentlemen, if you look from 2020 to now, that's not going down. If you look from just 2023, what we're seeing is it's bouncing up and down. That if people were no longer interested in buying a house, that line would be down, headed toward the bottom right-hand corner, not the upper right-hand corner. So the desire is there, and how can we fill that desire? Well, for a lot of people, you can't do it because of the affordability issue. So we have to come up with different ideas. One of the things we think Keeping Current Matters is multicultural, multi-generational living can be an answer, right? We believe the answer to that question is yes. Now, some of you are going to say, wait a minute, you're saying I have to live with my mom and dad? Wait a second, you're saying me and my wife have to live with my son and daughter and my grandkids? That ain't never going to work. And for a lot of people, it's not going to work. I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone. But a study done by Pew Research says that it works for a lot more people than maybe we would have thought it would. This is the most multi-generational occupants C positives. This is the percentage who find living with adult family members, whether it be an adult child or a parent, to be blank most of the time. 58% said it's convenient most of the time. And if we think about that, that makes sense. The young couple who has a couple of kids, they have a built-in babysitter. They can go out for a romantic dinner. They can go away for a romantic weekend. And the grandparents can spend time with the grandkids. For the grandparents, usually, as they get empty nesters, what do they bring in? Pets. What's the biggest challenge for them? If they want to go away for a weekend or go away for some time, who's going to watch the pets? Well, they have built-in pet sitters. This is important that we realize it's convenient for a lot of people. Another thing, more than 50% said most of the time it's rewarding. Imagine grandparents, their adult children, and their grandchildren all living together, helping each other out. Isn't that what family's about? So I do think this is something that we should take a look at and something that we should really grab hold of. Not for everyone. Look at the last one of our 23% find it stressful. So obviously, if you hate your parents, don't move in with them. If you hate your adult kids, don't move in with them. But if you don't trust your adult kids to raise your grandchildren, which a lot of grandparents are in that category, sort of kind of, half joking, half not, then this makes perfect sense because the grandparents can spend more time with their grandkids. Straggle Business Journal. The circumstances over the past few years between the 2008 financial crisis and COVID-19 pandemic have changed the way families are buying houses. According to data from the National Association of Realtors, multi-generational buying rose to an all-time high in 2022, 14%. Compare that to 2021, when this option was at 11%. So what we're really talking about is about a 30% increase in the number of people that are buying multi-generational homes. And more than 1 out of 10 houses that are sold are multi-generational homes. Tremendous opportunity. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that the industry needs opportunity right now. We need to find a way to build transactions right now. And maybe this is a cohort, a group of people that we didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about over the last couple of years. Maybe the time's come to help them. This is from Pew Research. Multi-generational living has increased among all age groups over the past 5 decades, but the increase has been fastest among adults ages 25 to 34. Ladies and gentlemen, this could be one of the answers toward the affordability challenge that millennials are facing right now. And people jumping on this already. Builders are now developing multi-generational floor plans that include designs with 2 master suites, including main floor suites with kitchenettes. Many offer shared spaces for gathering as the extended family, while also providing additional privacy when it's needed most. Some include flex space that can shift from a family office to a nursery to give you the ability to adapt. Some include detached casitas, living options for even more privacy for your family. So whether it's attached and you're living in a house with a separate thing, or a detached, which in most of the country is known as an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. And ladies and gentlemen, why am I pushing this right now? Because people are leaning this way very strongly. As a matter of fact, the Federal Housing Administration just came out this past month, and they expanded the access to mortgage finances for homes that have or will include accessory dwelling units. The federal government understands that we have an affordability challenge. This is one of the ways that they're trying to help. They're throwing money at this particular answer. I think we have to jump all over that, ladies and gentlemen. And a significant policy change. Now, understand, this was the FHA. Also, in a significant policy change, Fannie Mae has announced that it will accept the 5% down payments for owner-occupied 2, 3, and 4-unit homes. This marks a departure from the previous multifamily financing requirement of 15 to 25% down. So it used to be you have to get an FHA, and now they're even doing the FHA with the ADUs, the accessory dwelling units. But now even Fannie Mae is saying, hey, listen, if you buy a 2-family house, you buy a duplex, your parents live on one side, you live on the other side. We'll let you buy that house with 5% down. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's eliminating some of the challenges. And I think that that's important that we understand that. We're looking for alternative sources of business right now. We're looking for alternative sources or alternative ways to help families to build our transaction counts up. Now, we have a very interesting industry. We don't get paid unless we help someone. And we can't make a lot of money unless we help a lot of people. So I know you might be concerned about your finances. The quickest way to not be concerned about your finance is to go out and help some people. And I'm telling you, this is a group of people that need help. People looking for multi-generational homes. As a matter of fact, if you're interested, this is what they're saying. If you're interested, this is what the newspapers are saying. If you're interested in multi-generational housing for your next move, you may want to consider talking to a trusted agent and a local lending company to find out how combined finances can help you get the right home for your needs. Newspapers are sending the people with this need to you. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please be prepared when they get to you. It's important that we realize that we can help families right now that maybe, again, we're off the radar over the last couple of years because things were so crazy. And even Bloomberg News just 2 weeks ago put this out, the key to boosting Latino home ownership. National policymakers, local leaders, and leading institutions hold the power not only to protect the recent strides made by Latino households, but also to accelerate progress and bolster our national economy. Latinos believe very strongly in multi-generational housing. So actually, you're working 2 different cohorts at the same time. The multi-generational, which we probably haven't been thinking about a lot over the last couple of years. And it might be that you haven't really spent enough time thinking about the Latino community, which is driving much of the housing and will continue to drive much of the housing going forward. We could kill 2 birds with 1 stone with this by helping a bunch of people. The private sector can expand access to credit by boosting language access in the mortgage and credit markets, improving underwriting of self-employed borrowers, and lending more to multi-generational households. We've already talked about that. Those mortgages are coming out. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with this, virtually every single piece that KCM puts out, any content that KCM puts out, we have in Spanish. This is going to be a market that's going to drive the industry over the next 10 years. Get in now. Start helping those people right now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I found this would be a pretty interesting stat. Percentage of each that believes owning a home is very important. The Hispanic community leads the way on that. The Hispanic community leads the way on that. So we have multi-generational families looking to buy a house that multi-generations can live in. We have the Latino, which is driving housing, and by any survey, any study, is going to continue to drive housing for the next 10 years in this country. We can get involved with both and really start doing the right thing. Not that we haven't been doing the right thing, but doing the right thing for that particular segment. Now I want to talk a little bit about net worth, because whenever we're talking about affordability, we always want to talk about what's the rent payment versus the mortgage payment. And right now, in the vast majority of the country, let's be honest, it's less expensive to rent than to buy. Now, I know if you start including the mortgage interest deduction, if you start including the property tax deduction, when you start doing those things, to a lot of people, it really is. The bottom line is better to own than to rent. But a lot of people can't understand it because it's a very difficult concept to fully explain. Sure, your rent payment is going to be less expensive, and let's talk about rental mortgage being your monthly housing expense. It's going to be less expensive right now, today, and maybe for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. But ladies and gentlemen, if you bought a house today, you're virtually locked in your monthly housing expense because your mortgage payment doesn't skyrocket. And people will say, well, what about taxes? Property taxes going up. Most municipalities are not going to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. They're going to raise property taxes, but they're going to do it within a percentage. They don't want a bunch of foreclosures in their market or a bunch of quick sales that are going to drive down property values, because that's how they get paid on property values. So really, your monthly housing expense, if you are an owner, remains virtually unchanged for the next 30 years. Let's assume you're rented. What's your rent payment 5 years from now versus today? What's your rent payment 10 years from now versus today? 20 years from now, 30 years from now. In fact, 30 years from now, you're still going to be paying rent, but your mortgage will be paid off. And that's what people don't understand. It's not, people are trying to say, well, right now, today, it's cheaper to rent than to buy. Yeah, that's a snapshot today. If we look at the movie over the next 30 years, it doesn't play well for renting. And here's a graph I want to show you that kind of explains that. The Fed does a study every 3 years. It's called the study of consumer finances. And what comes out of that study, one of the things that comes out of that study, is the difference in net worth, the gap in net worth between homeowners and renters. And what we could see is going all the way back to 2010, right in the middle of the housing crash, when prices were plummeting. Still then, homeowners had much greater net worth than renters did. And as we go through the next study and the next study and the next study, and the last study that was just released about a month ago, which covered through 2022, the spread, that gap is grown dramatically. Now, I'm not suggesting that last tick up from 2019 to 2022 is going to continue. That absolutely not. That had something to do with the pandemic, the rush in price appreciation during the pandemic. That line's going to flatten out. But what's going to happen to that green line? It's going to remain relatively flat. So the spread isn't going to really change much. It's going to increase slowly, like it did between 2010 and 2013. But it's still going to increase. What you sell helps families build their net worth. For the vast majority of families in this country, it's the #1 builder of their net worth. Now, we're going to break this down as more data comes available from that report. We'll break it down by age, because you'll say, well, because older people own more houses. Well, yeah, not exactly. No matter which age group you're in, you'll have more net worth if you are a homeowner versus a rent. And again, we'll bring you these stats as that data becomes available. Well, it's income levels. Richer people own houses. Well, no, not exactly. We've already shown, and we've looked at the original data. It appears that at every income level, a person who owns a house, going all the way down to the lowest income levels to the highest income levels, people who own houses have more net worth, no matter what their income is. But again, we'll break those down as they become available to us. But right now, I want to show you one of the reasons why maybe the net worth is that dramatic. And it's not just because the house went up. If you're a homeowner, you have access to other things. I'm going to give you one example. The blue line is the U.S. small business applications in thousands. How many people started a business? The green line is the capital equity in billions. You don't have to worry about it in thousands and billions. You just have to look at the two lines. Because there is definitely some sort of connection. Now, I don't know if it's causation, correlation. People can argue that point. But this is what I know. When people's equity goes up, and tappable equity means 80% of the value of the home, they always want to keep 20%. So they're not, refinancing, right to their chin. They're keeping 20% equity. So we're talking about after they leave 20% equity, that's their tappable equity. And what do we know? The more equity you have, the more confident they are they're going to start a business. As the equity built, so did businesses. As equity started to fall off a little bit through the second half of last year when prices dropped some, well, guess what? So did business applications. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the American dream is home ownership. Another part for many people is they want to be their own boss. They want to start their own business. And many businesses in this country started with taking an equity out of a house and starting the business in the garage of that house. And there's some pretty notable companies that did that. First of all, KCM started that way. I tapped into the equity to my house, and we started that business in my garage. The garage was converted into like a bedroom prior to that, but basically it was where the garage was. Other small businesses that started out of the garage, little businesses like Apple, little businesses like Under Armour, little businesses like Fubu, Damon Jones's business. All right. So what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is you're helping people build their net worth. which is giving them freedoms in so many different areas. I know you're getting beat up a little bit right now. People are taking swings at you because of a lot of things that are happening. Just remember what you do for a living. Remember the families you help. Remember the last family that you gave a key to at a closing table, key to their first home. Remember how they hugged you. Remember how they hugged each other. That's what we do for a living. All right, so we have to get back to work. Let's not worry about lawsuits. Let's not worry about all the craziness. Let's get back to work. Here's a 90-day plan. There are still people very, very nervous about where prices are going. Explain where home prices are and where they're headed. We've given you tons of information on that. Get the word out on net worth and offer a PEAR, PAIR. That's a professional equity assessment report. If you don't know what that is, go into KCM and look for it. We have a beautiful layout, a brochure that you fill out with the homeowner to determine their equity. People are shocked at the amount of equity they have in their home right now. Instead of offering a CEMA on any way that you're marketing or prospecting, offer a professional equity assessment report. That's what they really want to know. Become more familiar with the multi-generational opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a major opportunity, not this year, not next year, for the rest of your careers. Jump in. Become more familiar with the KCM offerings in Spanish. It's going to be really crucially important to you. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying you necessarily have to speak Spanish. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to hire someone on your team that's fluent in Spanish. Neither one of those ideas are bad ideas, but I'm not necessarily saying that. Because most people can speak English, but they like it better if you're speaking, any person would like it better if you're speaking in their language. If you decide to move to Japan and was buying a house in Japan, it would help you if the person that was there, assuming you didn't know how to speak Japanese, it would help you if the person there knew how to speak English. You would prefer dealing with that agent. But ladies and gentlemen, even if you don't speak Spanish, most people come into the country and they learn, or they're born here and they learn English. Or maybe their parents didn't. Maybe that's buyer's mother or the buyer's father is a little bit more confused. If you could hand to them what you're saying to their child, their adult child thinking about buying a house or selling a house, if you could hand to them that same information in Spanish so they can follow along, your goal. Absolutely gold. Next, avoid the noise and get back to helping people. You don't get paid trying to figure out lawsuits. You don't get paid trying to defend yourself on social media. You get paid for one thing: helping people, helping families when they're buying or selling a house. That's what you get paid to do. You get paid to help people. Avoid the noise and get back to helping people. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, prospect, 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 whichever way you're doing it. Every Monday, we do a deep dive on one of the issues that I just talked to you about, or another issue that's extremely important. If you have an interest, it's Monday, 11 o'clock on Eastern time and 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. And it's at the Keeping Current Matters Facebook page. It's a Facebook Live.
All right. So what were some of your takeaways? Love to hear from you guys. Kind of something that maybe you didn't know, maybe you have a different perspective on, maybe with the action plan. It's something that you're going to implement. Let's hear from a few of you. You can just unmute.
I'll talk. That multi-generational, I just had a client reach out to me. He said, we just can't find what we want. And we're looking for a multi-generational house. Either we build it or we can add on and make it that way, because, and they have money because their price point was $1.5 million, but their parents are older, they're Indian, and there's a lot of different nationalities where this is commonplace too. But the children, the 44-year-old who reached out to me, you know, they're born in the United States, but they want to take care of the family. And I see that really happening. And I think that money is a big piece of it. Even though that's $1.5 million, they were seeing that they would have to spend double that for everybody to have separate homes. So to create that is an opportunity. And Another thing is I wrote a little downloadable book and I did it in English, and it dawned on me there's so many Latinos in the United States that I had it translated into Spanish as well. So I think we do need to really pay attention to the Latino market because it's a huge market of how we can do our business.
Yeah, really good points. Good share. Thank you, Kathy. Eric, I think you unmuted too.
Yeah, I liked when he said we don't get paid arguing for our commission and defending ourselves online. That was classic because I see a lot of that happening. We get paid when we help families, and I definitely am noticing that in our market. Whenever we can get a 1 bed, 1 bath downstairs, those things sell really, really quick.
Yeah. And what market are you in, Eric?
So we're in Ventura, and a huge Hispanic population, and we're seeing lots of multi-generational families, and obviously grandma, grandpa are downstairs and they don't want to go upstairs. So that's really what's working.
Yeah. Really good share. Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Add to that, I know 10 years ago, my grandmother at the age of 90 had a heart attack. She had a triple bypass, and she moved in with us and lived with us for 7 years between 90 and 97. And the multi-generational experience is so rich.
Yeah.
I would say, as a business tip, one of the things that I've been blessed with is my husband's a contractor. And so we've been able to really do the pairs. I love that we're calling them pairs now and not CMAs. But to talk about the value of adding another bedroom and adding another bathroom. And so as add value, when I'm getting ready to list, we'll do a price comparison and we'll talk about if you have an unfinished space and it doesn't take a lot to do that. We've invested, done that with the agreement that we get paid at closing. And it's been a huge asset. And just adding value if you can partner with a builder to do something like that.
Yeah, really good point. I like that. And I like the thinking outside the box because you have that ability with your husband. That's really great. Good share, Andrea. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to say it was really encouraging, to know there's another side of this, not the side that's bleak and agents getting out and, the industry is going to be deconstructed and all this trash that's floating around out there. So thank you for sharing this, Stacy.
Yeah, my pleasure. Melissa Thompson put in the chat prospect. Yes, I agree. And they kind of give us, like you guys have all mentioned, just some different talking points. So even just thinking multi-generational and, things like that. Funny enough, I think I'm a good kid. And I talked to my parents about like putting an addition onto our house because they're moving to our area. They said no. So now I'm rethinking. Maybe I'm not a good kid. Maybe they said it was too close, which I mean, maybe. So anyway.
Hi, everybody. This is Gloria from Ventura County. And I had a question back to when we started the webinar here. Somebody mentioned about using Online Jobs PH as a virtual assistant. And I am looking into that, how if they can share further just a couple more minutes or a minute, how their experience has been, or anybody else using virtual assistants, how their experience has been in real estate or acquiring, leads, database creation, things like that.
Yeah, that was Kathy. Go ahead.
I learned this from Robin Phillips. She does different presentations where she taught us how to hire on Online Jobs PH and what to look for, the pay scale to do. I've had 4 so far, and most of them have been great results. And I do that on a temporary basis, part-time, but you can do a full job description of what you're looking for. The price point I start mine at is $4 an hour with a 30-day review. And then we review up to probably the highest I paid is $6 an hour. But they have to prove themselves as well, and I do a full requirement of what I'm looking for in my job description. And then I have in that job description, if you respond to this, I need this in the subject line. And if they don't put it in the subject line, whatever it's like, whatever the thing was, then they're automatically out because they don't pay attention. I'm also looking for, they have a disc profile that they are automatically have the ability to take that on there. Not everybody does. If they don't, I ask them to do it. And what I'm looking for is a high D and a high C, because what I'm looking for is detail. I also want to know that they're going to be diligent and do that. That normally I wouldn't pick that in the States, but I do that in the Philippines. It's a different style of personalities there, but I'm looking for people that'll be very conscientious of their work and really do it. And also you can see if they'll work your time zone. Some will, some won't. And because they're 12 hours ahead of us. So those are important pieces. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kathy, for sharing that. Yes, and Richard just put some in the chat too. So lots of opportunities to hire, VA work, and it's a great opportunity for you to hire someone, like Kathy said, full-time, part-time, project-based, whatever it might be. So
I just want to highlight real quick, Stacy, the idea Kathy had of doing a test. Have a really solid set of requirements that you want to put your VAs through in terms of a test. That way, are they going to be a fit for you, the way your business runs and how you do it.
yes, really good point. You definitely need that. And also when Kathy said the job description, that's kind of the biggest thing that I see when people are trying to hire, admin, stateside VA, whatever it is, they don't have the job description. And so they're like, well, I need this done and this done and this done. And then it becomes like a whole problem because this person, just like us, we don't have 5 million skills that we are just excellent at. So really honing in on what you need. So you're hiring for that instead of trying to create a job description around a person after you've hired them. So
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the input.
you bet. Great question. All right. Any last words on our topic today? Jessica did mention the majority of her clients are Latino, and oftentimes they're buying property thinking about their family as a whole. So really, I loved this topic today with KCM because I think it definitely got me thinking a little bit more. So hopefully you guys as well. All right. Well, it looks like that is it. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. And next week, we have a special guest, so do not miss. And if by chance you're traveling next week or ready for Thanksgiving, I wish you all a happy and blessed Thanksgiving. And thank you so much for attending the call. We appreciate you. See you next week.